Most terrible decisions aren't made by terrible people. They're made by normal people, on normal days, for reasons that feel completely logical at the time. Nobody sees themselves as the villain of their own life. And yet, every day, ordinary people lie, cheat, betray, ignore warning signs, and slowly walk toward choices they once promised they would never make. So the real mystery isn't evil. The real mystery is something much more uncomfortable. How do good people convince themselves that doing the wrong thing is actually fine? No one wakes up in the morning and thinks, "Today I'm going to ruin everything." Bad choices rarely arrive as big dramatic moments. They arrive quietly. A tiny shortcut, a tiny compromise, a tiny lie. Something so small it barely feels wrong. I'll just bend the rule this once. No one will even notice. It's not really a big deal. Psychologists call this moral drift. Your brain doesn't treat small wrongdoing like danger, so it doesn't sound any alarms. And because nothing terrible happens right away, you start to believe it was harmless. That's the trap. Once you accept one small compromise, the next compromise feels easier. And step by step, you slowly move further away from the person you used to be. Human beings are natural storytellers, especially when it comes to protecting our own image. When we do something questionable, we don't usually think, "I'm becoming a bad person." Instead, we create a story. "I had no other option. They deserved it. I was doing what was best for everyone. I'm actually helping in the long run." This is called self-justification, and it's incredibly powerful. Because once you have a story that makes you feel like the hero, you stop questioning your actions, even when deep down you know you probably should. The truth is uncomfortable, but stories are comforting. So we choose the story. Most people believe their morals are solid, that they would do the right thing no matter what. But morals are not as stable as we like to think. Pressure changes people. Stress changes people. Fear changes people. Put someone in the right situation, a job they're afraid to lose, a debt they're desperate to pay, a reputation they need to protect, a deadline that feels impossible, and suddenly, choices that once seemed unthinkable start to feel reasonable. Under pressure, the brain stops asking, "Is this right?" and starts asking, "Can I survive this?" And survival has a way of rewriting our principles. One of the oldest justifications in human history is simple. I was just doing what I was told. Responsibility feels lighter when it's shared. If a boss approves it, if a system requires it, if a rule allows it, then many people stop asking whether something is ethical and only ask whether it's permitted. Those are very different questions. Throughout history, ordinary people have done extraordinary harm without ever seeing themselves as cruel. They didn't feel like villains. They felt like employees, like followers, like people doing their job. And that mindset can make almost anything feel acceptable. Another trick the mind uses is comparison. Instead of asking, "Is this wrong?" we ask, "Is this as bad as what other people are doing?" And the answer is almost always no. I'm not as bad as him. At least I didn't go that far. There are people doing much worse. By comparing ourselves to worse behavior, we make our own behavior feel reasonable. Standards slowly drop, and over time, the unacceptable becomes normal, not because it changed, but because we did. There's another step in the process. At first, people worry about how their choices affect others, but the more they justify bad decisions, the quieter that concern becomes. Empathy fades gradually. You stop seeing real people and start seeing obstacles, deadlines, targets, problems to manage. When empathy disappears, almost any action can be explained away as necessary. And that's when truly terrible choices start to feel routine. There's a powerful psychological force called commitment bias. Once people invest time, money, or pride into something, it becomes incredibly hard to admit it was wrong. So instead of stopping, they double down, even when the evidence is clear, even when the damage is obvious, because saying, "I made a mistake," hurts the ego. And for many people, protecting their self-image feels more important than doing the right thing. This is how small, bad decisions slowly turn into disasters, not because people are evil, but because they're stubborn. Eventually, after enough compromises, people reach the most dangerous thought of all. It's too late to stop now. At that point, the decision isn't about right or wrong anymore. It's about protecting the version of themselves they've already created. And once someone is protecting a story instead of the truth, it's almost anything can be justified. Most of us like to imagine we're different, that we would never cross certain lines, that we would always be brave, always be honest, always do the right thing. But history and psychology tell a different story. The line between a good person and a terrible decision is thinner than we want to believe. And the people who cross it usually don't look like monsters. They look normal. They look reasonable. They look like us. The most dangerous sentence a person can say is simple: "I would never do that." Because almost everyone who did once believed the exact same thing.